Slaves had no dignity or freedom whatsoever in ancient Rome. At night, they were tools to satisfy the desires and fetishes of the nobility, with even male slaves not spared. By day, they became killing machines in the arena, entertaining the crowd by spilling blood and sacrificing their lives. Whether with swords, spears, or even nets and tridents, they would use any means necessary to defeat their opponents. Such violent and savage combat made the audience blood boil with excitement, even risking having their fingers sliced off as they leaned in to watch. As the heavily armored swordsman gets trapped in a net, his life enters its final countdown. The victor earns cheers and glory, even rewards of fine wine and beautiful slave girls from their master. The defeated are dragged away like trash, a bloody and cruel scene that shocks newcomers Asher and Dongon in their first appearance. Survival means becoming a true gladiator. Death proves they're worthless.
That's one the mighty Asher.
But big talk only suppresses fear. Only strength matters in the arena. Different types of gladiators require different strategies. For instance, Dangan closes in on the spear wielder, making it hard for them to use their weapon effectively. With precise and ruthless swordplay, he quickly cuts off his opponent's arm, ending the fight. However, Asher isn't as tough as he boasts. He's driven back repeatedly and even loses his helmet, just as he's about to be split in two by an axe. Dagon steps in to save him. To save face, Asher picks up the axe and goes berserk on the corpse. He shamelessly takes all the credit for the victory, disgusting even his master Quintus. As a result, Asher only receives half the reward Dangan gets, filling him with jealousy and directly leading to Dangan's misfortune of ass later. In reality, the fiercest battles in the arena aren't between gladiators, but the power game played by slave owners. To secure his position in the arena, the ambitious Quintus isn't above offering special performances to bribe the noble Varus, but he doesn't realize this has made him famous in noble circles. While walking down the street, Quintus's wife Lucretia runs into Petronius, a big shot from Rome. The socialite Gaia eagerly greets him, but Petronius remains cold until he hears Lucretia's name.
I have heard your house spoken of, and the pleasures contained within.
Clearly, Varus must have gone around bragging about the special services he enjoyed at Quintus's house. Hearing that Petronius and his friends want to experience it too, Quintus is tempted again. If he can gain Petronius's support, he might have a chance to secure a place in the soon-to-be completed Capua Grand Arena. But his father Titus is a very conservative slave owner who would never agree to such an absurd thing. So Quintus instructs Lucretia and Gaia to arrange the hospitality party, while he sends his father away on the pretext of buying slaves at the port. Learning she'll have to provide another humiliating performance, Diona feels dead inside. She even starts to resent why it wasn't her good friend Navia who was chosen by that perverted noble. As guests arrive, the depraved party officially begins. The nobles savor fine food and wine, while enjoying Diona and a male slave's vigorous performance on a high platform.
The man as a bull, constant purpose.
But this is just an appetizer. To please these powerful figures, Lucretia has prepared a feast for the senses. Just as she's about to announce the after-dinner activities, an uninvited guest shows up. Lucretia doesn't welcome Tullius's arrival. He recently beat up Quintus trying to forcibly buy his star gladiator Gannicus. But Tullius's status is too high to offend, so she has to let him wander around with ill intent. To let the nobles enjoy themselves without inhibition, Lucretia has carefully prepared masks of the gods, hinting they can shed human moral constraints. But Tullius inappropriately disrupts again, suggesting a sword match with Gannicus to entertain everyone. Lucretia can't find a reason to refuse. Oenomaus understands the gravity of the situation and warns Gannicus not to hurt Tullius or win. Gannicus can only keep dodging and yielding, as a slave injuring a noble would certainly mean death. But Tullius pushes his luck, recklessly inflicting several cuts on Gannicus. Finally, Gannicus humiliatingly raises 2 fingers in surrender. Seeing Gannicus refuse to take the bait, Tullius is furious but can't find another excuse to kill him for now. Melita tenderly treats Gannicus's wounds, but he can no longer hide his love. Since that night when Varus forced them to be intimate, Gannicus has developed real feelings. Although he knows he shouldn't love his best friend Oenomaus' wife, he's already lost in that twisted pleasure. Melita also hasn't escaped that night's forbidden emotional whirlpool. But reason ultimately triumphs over impulse. She can't betray her husband. Meanwhile, the masked nobles have completely become beasts of desire, with some even eyeing the gladiators. Since Dangan doesn't speak their language, Asher translates for them. Remembering how Dangan has stolen his spotlight and earned the master's favor, Ashur conceives a vengeful scheme.
He's agreeable.
He tells me he hopes you're not of a gentle nature. Brutes such as this craves rough hands.
And they're equal.
Then he shall be well satisfied. Come.
Thus, Dagon is unwittingly led away by a noble, facing a spear more terrifying than those in the arena. To prevent Tullius from causing more trouble, Guy personally goes to entertain him. She's always wanted to associate with the powerful, so she doesn't resist Tullius's wandering hands. Tullius naturally won't turn down such a delicious meal served to him, especially since Gaia is a renowned beauty in Rome. As everyone's energy is thoroughly drained, this crazy party comes to an end. Petronius satisfied praises Lucretia's hospitality and agrees to Quintus's demands regarding the new arena. But before Lucretia can rejoice, tragedy strikes. Not seeing Gaia leave with Quintus, she goes to look for her. The red wig on the floor immediately gives her a bad feeling. Evidently, Tullius still harbored resentment towards Gaia for helping Quintus snatch away what he believed was rightfully his. In a fit of insanity, he had smashed Gaia's skull. To make matters worse, having failed to find suitable slaves, Titus returns home early. He furiously accuses Lucretia of tarnishing the family's reputation and forces Quintus to throw her out. After a final kiss goodbye to Gaia, only one thing leaves in her mind is revenge. Undoubtedly, the biggest victim of this farce was Diona, whose body and mind suffered immense damage. Unable to bear seeing her growing depression, Naevia secretly gives her saved money to help her escape. However, the outside world offers no refuge for a slave. Diona's fate seems destined for tragedy. Dangan also endures severe torment, his is still aching. He vows to make Ashur pay dearly for his betrayal. Titus completely loses trust in his son. He overturns all of Quintus's business ideas and strategies, determined to reorganize the entire ludus. All gladiators must participate in a 2-day ranking competition, with those ranking low to be sold directly to the mines. Stripped of all authority, Quintus feels full of resentment but dares not defy his father before truly inheriting the ludus. Reality proves that Ashur's combat ability is far inferior to his scheming and intriguing. He can't even beat Neus, who has just transitioned to being a net fighter. After losing 3 matches in a row, he unfortunately faces Dangan. If he loses again, the mines will become his final destination. Dangan clearly won't soften at his pleas. He won't miss this rare chance for revenge. Fooled by anger and pain, Dagon's attacks are particularly fierce. Knowing he's outmatched, Ashur sincerely begs to end his own life. However, as soon as Dangan lets his guard down, Ashur ambushes him, unexpectedly striking his forehead hard. Such despicable behavior disgusts everyone, but in the arena only victory matters, not morality. Cunning is also part of one's strength. The undisputed best performer in the entire competition is the acknowledged ace Gannicus. Additionally, the newcomer Scrixus's record is also impressive. Since overcoming his fear of spears by defeating Octus, his skills improved dramatically. His terrifying explosive power and agility combined with increasingly refined combat techniques leave him with few rivals, winning battle after battle. However, Gannicus often seems distracted due to his emotional entanglement with Melita, even affecting his performance. Titus, who already doesn't think highly of him, becomes increasingly dissatisfied. Coincidentally, Tullius arrives with a jug of fine wine to reconcile with Titus and apologize for last night's events. But his real intention is to buy Gannicus. He desperately wants this trump card.
The only thing I have ever sought.
In return, Titus will have the right to sit in the VIP seats of the new arena, sharing honor and profits, something Quintus has always dreamed of. Titus wavers internally and seeks advice from his most trusted Oenomaus. Oenomaus doesn't want his good brother to be sold and firmly believes he can become champion. So Titus decides to make a decision after tomorrow's final. Oenomaus immediately informs Gannicus that he must give his all to win tomorrow, or he will no longer belong here. But Gannicus hardly listens, his mind full of Oenomaus' wife Melita. He again confesses his love to Melita, but they both know this relationship can't end well. In the next day's final, Gannicus still can't shake off his distraction. Even facing Six's storm of slashes, he can't help but glance at Melita during breaks in the fight. In a moment of distraction, his forehead is struck by the wooden sword, turning his long accumulated depression into anger, which he pours out on Sixus. However, every time he meets Melita's gaze, he remembers that unforgettable and intoxicating intimacy. The despair and helplessness of unrequited love make his heart sink. At that moment, he no longer craves victory. Perhaps leaving is the right choice. Gannicus raises 2 fingers in surrender for the second time in his gladiator career, this time losing to his own emotional turmoil. His sale to Tullius seems inevitable, and Lucretia faces a similar predicament. Titus gives Quintus an ultimatum: either divorce Lucretia or get out with her. Lucretia understands that Titus's biggest dissatisfaction with her is her inability to bear children as heirs to the family. Despite years of trying with Quintus, her womb remains unresponsive. Looking at the rugged muscular Crixus, exuding hormones, Lucretia's mind conceives a crazy and bold idea: